Hello, welcome to my channel and thanks for tuning into this video. Pretty quick video today. I'm just going to be showing you the new Vieve Modern Bronzing Duo. I have it in the shade Light, so that's Light 1 and Light 2 right there. I'm just going to be applying this one on my face and talking a little bit about that. And then I also have something new from Bobbi Brown. This is the Highlighting Powder Duo in the shade Pink Glow. So I'm going to be applying both of these powders to my face and giving a little bit of a review on these today. And I'm also just going to mention a couple of other things, something I got from Vieve and something that I got from Bobbi Brown as well. So if you'd like to see all of that, just keep on watching. Okay, I'm going to start off with the Vieve bronzer. And this is the shade Light, so it's the lightest shade in the range, and the shades are just named Light 1 and Light 2. I'm just going to be using Light 1 today because this is really the shade that I was most curious about. And I'm just going to start applying it with my large artist brush from Wayne Goss. And the reason that I ended up buying this bronzer was because a viewer had commented, I think on my bronzers for fair skin video, that Vieve was coming out with these bronzers and that the light shade, this one specifically in this palette, was designed for people with fair skin and that it has pink mixed into it. So that sounded to me like something that I've really been looking for in a bronzer, so I was very curious to try it. Now this is my second time using this. This arrived in the mail yesterday, and so I tried it then too. And I was really happy with it. So I'm excited to be able to show it here. And you can see it's very lightweight, very buildable. To me, the formula is quite similar to the Victoria Beckham bronzers and the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush bronzers. Really nice lightweight matte finish that blends super, super easily and is extremely buildable. And I think that you can see here that it is really quite a cooler toned bronzer. It doesn't have any of that orangey warmth in it, this shade right here. The other shade I find very, very warm. So that's not my favorite, but this shade at least is good. The other shade will be good if you want to do like a super bronzy look, like if that's really what you're going for. I think that'll be very nice because the formula is still really good. But for a regular basis, this more cool toned one is going to be perfect for me. And this is actually my first Vieve product that I've ever tried. I also got one of the eye wands, which I really like. I may end up showing that on my channel at some point, but I got the eye wand in the shade Sand. I'll just show you what it looks like. And I used this yesterday too, but what I find is it doesn't really show up that well on camera. But for an everyday kind of really light, no makeup type of look, this looks really beautiful on the eyes. So that's the Vieve Eye Wand in Sand. Okay, so I think that's good for the bronzer, and hopefully you can see the tone there. I'll show you swatches of the two shades. So that's the one that I used, Light 1, and then that's Light 2. I'm going to do one comparison. Let me know if you have any specific bronzer comparisons you'd like to see with these Vieve bronzer shades, because I'm just going to do one comparison here. This one is Tom Ford Terra. This is kind of my benchmark for a cool toned bronzer with pink tones in it. And comparing that to Light 1 from Vieve, they're pretty similar. I think on the face you get a pretty similar effect, but when I look at them, Tom Ford Terra is still more cool toned and still has more pink in it than the Vieve Light 1. The packaging is pretty nice. It's, you know, I would say it's a high-end package, but not to the level of luxury. It has a good weight to it, but it's not heavy like the Victoria Beckham one, for example. I like the gold with the black. There's a nice texture on here. It's nice, but it kind of reminds me of like a binder that you would use in school. So it's not at the Victoria Beckham luxury level, but it's a very nice high-end level bronzer and packaging. and it appears to be refillable as well. So you'll be able to get refills, which is always a good thing. Now I'm going to move into blush and highlighter, and I'm going to be using this new Bobbi Brown Highlighting Powder Duo in the shade Pink Glow. So these are said to be both highlighters, but for me, I'm going to be using this one as a blush and this one as a highlighter. This shade here is Pink Glow, so this is an existing highlighter in Bobbi Brown's range and quite a popular highlighter as I understand. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm really excited to give this a go. And this one I think is a new shade that is exclusive in this palette, and that shade is called Pink Flash. So I did try this blush shade yesterday, and it was very pretty. I used my Designer Pro brush from Sonia G for that. Today I'm gonna try with my Soft Cheek, which is more fluffy and less dense than the Designer Pro. The Designer Pro worked really well, but I just wanted to see if I can get away with using a bit of a softer, fluffier brush with this or not. Okay, it's showing up, that's fine. So obviously don't use this as a blush unless you want quite a glowy blush look. It can look a bit intense depending on the lighting. Here in the natural light coming through the window, it's a very gray light. It's extremely foggy out today, so there's no real sun shining in directly. It doesn't look overly shiny at all, but in some artificial lighting, I noticed yesterday when I had this on that it looked a little bit much. So it's just going to depend on your preferences, the lighting you're in, and you can also just use this as more of a blush topper, and then you don't have to apply as much because you're not trying so hard to get that pink pigment on. It's just more of an accent rather than your main blush color. You can see the shine there. And I don't find it overly emphasizes texture, but it is a metallic type highlighting powder, so you're gonna get a little bit of emphasis on the pores there. But for me, that's not a huge concern. The pores on my cheek, it's not something I really worry about too much. So there's the Pink Flash color as a blush. And now I'm gonna take my Sculpt 3 from Sonia G and I'm gonna go into the Pink Glow highlighter. I've heard such good things about this highlighter and I'm really excited to try it. Yeah, that's an immediate impact right there. So you could probably get a bit of a more subtle effect with this by using a different type of brush. This one is really good at picking up quite a lot of highlighter, even very hard pressed baked type formulas like this one. So we're kind of getting maximum initial impact with this brush. I'm gonna swatch these two shades. So there's just one single layer swatch of these two colors. They're really nice. I like how this one is, it's kind of a neutral pink, but I can see warm tones when I look at it on my skin. And then the highlighter is really nice because it's a very bright, light pink color, but it's not too stark white like a lot of really light, bright highlighters can be. It almost has a little bit of a warmth in there. It's kind of like a very pale rose gold kind of highlighter. So I really like that color and I think it just meshes really nicely with my skin tone. So that's the Bobbi Brown Duo as well as the light one shade of the Vieve bronzer. Since I showed you the Vieve eye wand, I have another eye product that I want to show you. It's part of the same Bobbi Brown collection, and I did try this yesterday and I just wasn't overly impressed with it, so I didn't really want to use it again today, but I wanted to show you and share my thoughts on it. So this is the Luxe Eyeshadow in the shade Opal Moonstone. Now, first of all, I have to be careful when I'm holding it up because it's very loose in the pan. These arrived in the mail yesterday and the packages were pretty beat up. They came all the way from the UK, I think. I ordered the Bobbi Brown products from Look Fantastic and it took quite a while for them to arrive. And as I said, they were quite battered up and weren't really packaged all that well. So I think that may have contributed to that eyeshadow being loose in the pan. So that's what that shade looks like. That's just a single swipe. And I find it seems to be swatching better than it really applied on the eyes. What I did when I applied it yesterday was I put it over top of the Vieve eye wand actually. So I had more of that sort of creamy texture down underneath, and then I put this on top, which is what I often like to do with these single shadow type situations. I like how usually putting them on top of a cream will amplify them and just make them look a little bit stronger. But I just didn't find that it was exceptional. It looked pretty, it looked nice on the eyes, it added a bit of a shimmer and shine, but it wasn't something that I would write home about. If I were going for something like this, I'd rather go with something like I used today, which was the Pat McGrath, the rose gold shade in the Pat McGrath Mothership 5 palette. That's been a favorite for a long time, and it just has a lot more impact on the eyes, I find, than this one. But if you prefer a more subtle shine, then you might like these Bobbi Brown shadows. I've never used these single shadows from Bobbi Brown before, so this is my first experience with them. For me, it's not worth it to spend that money on a single shadow that isn't exceptional to me. But you can see it's kind of a peachy rose gold shade. I applied it both dry and wet, and I still had that feeling that it wasn't giving as much impact as I was hoping for. But I think in the future I'll try it just as it's a single shadow on its own, not on top of anything else, and maybe apply it layered, wet and dry, and see what kind of impact I can get from it that way. So I think that's about it for this video. I know it was pretty quick, I think, but I just wanted to show you these new products and show you how they looked on me in case you were interested in them. Again, let me know if you have any requests for comparison swatchers with the bronzer shades. If you do, I can post photos on my community tab. And if you have any other comments or questions, I'd love to see those below. And if you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd really love for you to do so. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.